Okay, roll call.
Director Bragman,
Present.
Director Gibson,
Here.
Director Schmidt,
Present.
and Chair Russell.
Here. Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Moved.
Second. Roll call.
Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schmidt,
Aye.
and Chair Russell.
Aye.
Terry, we
any
didn't have any public comment on the.
No public
adoption
comment?
of the
Okay.
agenda, Correct.
Okay, cool.
That is correct. There are none.
Okay. just wanted
Okay.
to-
I need a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schmidt,
Aye.
and Chair Russell.
Aye.
And
Chair
there are no
Russell.
public comments.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, you're moving really fast. I can't keep up with you today. Were there any public comments?
Get used to it, Molly.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I just want to make sure we're allowing any participation that's supposed to happen from the public. If there are no comments, we're good, but I just wanted to give everybody a chance to raise a hand or not. Terry, do you see any hands?
Yeah, there are no hands. All except one is staff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry for that, Chair Russell.
Just remember, my motto is snooze, you lose. Okay, number 2, Sunny Oaks Pipeline Replacement Project.
Okay, great. Thanks, Director Russell. Crystal Yesman, Director of Engineering. Before I hand this off, just a little background. This was a large landslide that happened a few years ago, back when we had all those landslides in the watershed. And we had to abandon a pipeline that was compromised, and it went to our tank up on the hill. So that we haven't been using the Santa Venetia tank for a while now, and we want to get it back in service. So interestingly enough, we had another landslide in that area just this past month with the recent storm events. We sent some staff up. It looks okay. It's not affecting any of our assets, but that definitely is a hillside that moves. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Alex to talk about the project.
Hey, Crystal, is this the area where we had litigation? There was
Yes, it is, Director Bragman.
Okay, so this is kind of the aftermath of
Fix.
that litigation. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. Take it
Okay,
away, Alex. Thanks.
all right. Good morning, directors. I'm Alex Naya, the engineering manager of the design section. This morning, I would like to bring in the newest engineer in our group, Hagar Nagesh, who will be presenting this item. Hagar?
Cool.
Okay.
Good morning,
Welcome.
directors. Thank you.
Welcome. Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Nice to meet
Sort
you
of
all.
meet you anyway, kind of, we'll meet sooner or later.
Yeah.
We aren't
Okay.
just talking heads, we actually do exist.
Oh, good.
Prove it.
Okay. I'm Hagar Nagash. I'm the assistant engineer in design. I'm here this morning to present the Sunny Oaks Drive pipeline replacement project. This project is located along Sunny Oaks Drive and Leona Drive, all within the community of Santa Benicia. This project will be installing 850 feet of 6-inch and 8-inch pipe along with all the appurtenances. We will be relocating and reconnecting the pipe around the active landslide to restore service to the Santa Benicia tank in the community of Santa Benicia. The engineer's estimate for this project is $214,000 and is scheduled to last 107 days with the completion date of March 31st, 2022. The district will be receiving and opening bids for this project on December 2nd, 2021. If bid documents are acceptable, staff will make recommendations for contract award at a future regulatory scheduled board meeting. The staff recommended action is for review and referral to the board with the operation committee's recommendation to proceed with this. Any questions?
Yes, I'm sorry. How much is it? What's the construction cost?
$214,000 will be the engineer's.
And the completion date was March. What was the start date? When?
The start date is going to be, the bid is going to be December 2nd. So the start date is going to be after that. And completion will be 107 days later, which is going to be March 31st.
Okay. Do we anticipate any traffic issues while this is going on?
No, it's all the way up in the hills. So there's not going to be any traffic problems.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So I fly spec'd it a little bit, and the number of feet is a little inconsistent. So in the report, it talks about replacing 315, but we're installing 850, which means, I guess, there's some new pipeline that's going to be added to the project or added.
Yes, that's correct. We will be rerouting the pipeline, so we will be adding the extra 400 and 400 something.
Whatever the
Yeah,
difference.
feet.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
Right. And Director Bragman, just to add to that, the reason we're doing that is because since we're relocating the pipe around the slide, that installation of that additional pipe is necessary to
Yeah.
reconnect the system.
Yeah, sure.
That's why.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
Is there a reason, Alex, we don't have a map?
There should have been a map included. Yeah.
Maybe it's buried in this EIR thing or something. I don't know. I don't see
it
one.
I think it's right after the staff report. It should be
Right.
Yeah,
page,
there's a map right there. Yeah.
page 4. Maybe you're just missing that page for some reason, Chair Russell.
Page 10.
Must be. I don't see it. So,
It's on page 10.
Of
The
the
PDF.
PDF document.
okay, I got a hard copy, so I don't know.
Oh.
I'm looking at the hard copy. Okay, I'll look at the PDF later.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. Any public comment?
There are none.
Any board comment? Any more board comment?
Just, because of the litigation, Molly, I mean, is that all tied up as far as?
I think everything has been settled, Director
I know
Bragman.
that, but as far as the actual work, that satisfies all conditions,
Yeah,
yada,
the
yada.
landslide repair that was made looks great. It's finished. And it survived the last storm in
Okay,
October.
okay.
Perfectly, yeah.
Well, okay,
That's a
good.
good sign.
All
Yeah.
good. So I guess I'd move approval if,
All we have to do is refer to the board.
I
This
see.
one.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So will you do that?
I can do that. I will do that.
Okay.
Done.
Okay, cool. Great. Okay, thanks. Let's move on.
Thanks, you
And
guys.
number three, pipeline extension agreement, Aaron Drive, San Rafael.
Okay, I'll just introduce this for you, Director Russell. This is a large development, a subdivision that's going in off of Lucas Valley Road. It's on Aaron Drive, which connects to Los Gamos. They're grading the areas now. 10 years ago, the project was approved by the County of Marin, and there's an EIR associated with it. And here we are today, 10 years later, they're finally into construction, and we have negotiated a pipeline extension agreement with the developer. And with it is recycled water. I can tell you it's 60-40% basic split between recycled and potable. So that's good. We're going to get them some recycled water. And each home will have its own dedicated recycled water irrigation meter. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Joseph Ishins, who's going to give you details about the project for the staff presentation.
Okay.
Joseph?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Joseph Ishins, Engineering Technician Supervisor in Development Services. And today I will be presenting the Talus Reserve Pipeline Extension Agreement. Lucas Valley Talus LLC owns, it's about a 19-acre parcel, as Crystal said, it's located off of Lucas Valley Road, near the intersection of Lucas Valley Road and I believe it's Las Colinas in San Rafael. They've requested water service. A 28-lot subdivision has been approved by the county for the property. And since those new lots created by the subdivision will not front existing district water main, code requires that they extend our existing facilities to serve the development. And in order to extend those facilities, they have to enter into a pipeline extension agreement to do so, also by code. Some project specifics here, the Marin Community Service District Fire Department is requiring 1,500 gallons per minute for the fire flow for the project. So therefore, it's going to require about 1,800 feet of 8-inch pipe be installed to serve the development. There'll be 6 hydrants, fire hydrants, that can supply that flow, installed in places approved by the fire department. And there'll be 33 individual services, 28 for residences, the single families, and 5 for detached ADUs. In addition, since, as Crystal mentioned, the project is located in an area where recycled water is available, we're requiring the installation of those facilities for recycled water. It's about 1,800 feet of pipeline, 4-inch pipe for the recycled water. There'll be one recycled water hydrant and a total of 29 services, one for each lot and one for the common areas, landscape irrigation of common areas. Regarding CEQA, Environmental Science Associates reviewed the amended final environmental impact report for the project, and they determined that it addressed all the potential impacts associated with the extension of the water to the project site. And therefore, they recommend the board certify review of the final EIR. And lastly, staff evaluated soil stability in the area using the state maps and found impending peril of gradual earth movement exists in the area. However, with the use of welded steel pipe, we can adequately mitigate that circumstance. So today, the action requested of the committee is to review and refer to the full board approval of the PEA, Pipeline Extension Agreement, and associated fees, project approval and CEQA findings, and adoption of an impending peril declaration for the use of welded steel pipe.
Okay. I have a recollection, and I may be confusing it with another project, but that this may have been before the board a couple of times actually over the last, I guess, since it was approved by the county. That's question one. And then question two is, have we gotten any recent public questions or a reaction to this project at all? You know.
I do not believe this particular project has come before the board in my experience. We first had contact with this, I believe, middle of last year, late last year, in regards to establishing the water service for the property. And in terms of public comment, here in development services, we get quite a few calls about development, but I don't believe I've had any specific contact from the public on this project to this point.
Okay, thank you.
That's a big old hill, right?
It is.
And what are they going to do to it? They're going to go up and terrace it or something to put the houses in, or?
Yeah, it's terrace. So if you go on Lucas Valley, you take a right on Las Colinas and then another right. That's the
Yeah.
road that they built for it. It's a new road, and then it goes up into the terrace lots that look
Yeah.
down on Lucas Valley Road. Yeah, it's north of Lucas Valley, near the 911 center. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of right at the end of our service district, huh? Pretty close.
Pretty close. Before Marinwood, we do serve Marinwood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right at
yeah,
I'd say right at the edge of Marinwood, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is great. I would like to not, well, how can I put it? I think we should do a brief presentation on this project at our next board meeting, with the emphasis being that here we go with 28 homes who will all have individual reclaimed water services.
Mhm.
And do we have a feel or a knowledge of what the net water usage is here?
We do. Estimates right now for the services for the lots is it's about 1.6 acre feet for the landscape irrigation of the lots. And the common area is about a little over 2 acre feet, I believe, for the common area landscape irrigation.
But that's all reclaimed.
Yes.
I'm talking about potable.
Oh, I'm sorry, potable. Yeah, we're about, let's see, 7.5 acre feet of potable for that project.
That seems odd to me. How would the potable get that high if they're using the reclaimed water for the outside?
Well, in terms of usage and allotment per single family dwelling, I think we've got in the neighborhood of 0.25 for each individual dwelling. Of that, of course, the recycled service will will offset landscape irrigation. The allotment is still the same for residential properties, but the use of the recycled will pull from the potable. Am I making sense? Is that, am I explaining
think
that
so.
properly?
I think, Joseph, the 7.5 is the total.
The total,
Right.
correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
And 40% will be recycled water and 60%.
And that's what you said. That was
Yeah.
40/60. I
Right.
didn't quite put that together with these two numbers, but now I do. It still seems low to me that the recycle, I would expect it to be the other way, 60% recycled and 40% potable from.
Yeah, this is based on an estimate from their landscape plan original submittal. And I don't expect, there are some adjustments they're doing in that, but I don't expect any changes to the estimated consumption.
Okay.
I would think that landscaping demand will be less because of the water efficient landscaping that they'll be installing.
But why would they worry about that if they're using reclaimed water?
It's still a requirement in our code.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, we want to sell the reclaimed water, right? Otherwise it's going to waste. That's probably something we should take a look at, Ben, because that kind of seems silly to me to put those kind of restrictions on reclaimed water.
Chair Russell, Carrie's not here right now, but there are state requirements as well for water efficient landscaping, and I don't know if there's a distinction between the use of potable and recycled for that. It's a good question.
Let's find out.
I think there's also a question we'd want to look at. It obviously isn't an unlimited supply. You know, is it a limited resource and in what way? And a lot of agencies have moved away from discounting recycled water and thinking about it differently because it's the right water for that purpose and it should be conserved in the same fashion. But that's really if it's a limited commodity. So that's something we should look into and understand.
Yeah, what I'm thinking about is, from the developer's standpoint, that could be a real sales advantage, from our doing business with a developer, that, you don't have to restrict that. I think it's something we should take a look at seriously. I mean, I understand the tummy rubbing side of it, but it doesn't, frankly, it just doesn't seem rational to me.
Yeah.
And as far as I don't see a need to have a discount on the water. The water is water. I don't have a problem with that. But it just, like I say, I'm just surprised. I would have expected it to at least be over 50% difference. If we use 2/3 of our water for irrigation in a normal house, in the summer at least, you'd think that would have a little bigger impact on the total, but
yeah,
maybe
but
not.
I think on here too, multifamily development has, far less, of course, landscape area per unit. So you can't really look at our averages driven by single family homes, right? That
Okay.
ratio does change.
I also want to point out that in the summer, when the wastewater flows are at their minimum, we are approaching 100% of recycled water use for the plant. There's zero effluent to the bay at that point. So it is a limited supply of recycled water in this peak summer, which is when they're using the most recycled water. So you would want the efficient landscaping to try to minimize that peak demand.
Did talking about Las Colinas for a second, did their overflow affect us? I understood they had a flooding from their secondary aeration basins.
Yeah, there's many districts in the Marin County that had overflow events during this last big storm. And yes, it did not affect us. It was local to the plant.
No,
As
but
you
I
know,
meant to affect the recycled facility.
No,
Did it affect the production of recycled water?
No, it did not.
I have
As
a
you know,
couple
you'd think
questions.
Go ahead.
First of all, just as far as the calculation of domestic versus irrigation, there's also 5 ADUs, which are going to kick up domestic water use.
Sure.
So in that regard, because this is a new development, those units should pay hookup fees, right? Because there's a distinction in our code between owner occupied and new development. This is a new development. So these folks should be paying for those 5 ADUs separate hookup fees.
That is correct. That is in the pipeline extension agreement.
Okay.
The separate meter requirement is enforced as well as the requirement of connection fees.
Good, good. The other question I have, and you have to forgive me, I wasn't able to go through, it's a very big record here that we got 1,000 pages, something like that. So I didn't really look through it. But do you know how big the ADUs are, the square footage?
They top out at 775 square feet.
Okay, good. Because one of the things, and this is a little bit of a digression, I wanted the board to look at under our code, we exempt ADUs from hookup fees up to 1,200 square feet. And I think the board should consider reducing that square footage to 750. Because once you get up to 1,200 square feet, you know, that's a house. I mean, we did a survey in Fairfax, and I think the average house size is probably around 1,200 square feet. So, you know, I think it might be worth having the board take a look at that and reducing the exemption down to 750, because the idea of the ADUs and the exemption was to encourage affordable housing. And I don't really know if if these larger ADUs really do that. So that's just kind of a digression. But the other thing I wanted to ask about is there's common area landscaping, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is there an HOA which controls the common area landscape design?
I believe there will be.
So that leads me to sort of my ultimate query, which I have not finished, which is whether this development is required to use recycled water for toilet flushing and non-potable uses. So if there's an HOA in this development, I don't know whether that meets the requirements under our state code regulations or not. And I do want to take a further look at that.
Director Bragman, if I may, I mean, it's an excellent question, but my understanding of the regulations is that it specifies condominium units. So even though there's a homeowners association, homeowners associations are typically required anytime you have a common area, even for single family residential units. And so those are not necessarily within the definition of the regs for condominiums.
Understood. But, you know, with all due respect, which is always the introduction to
disagreement, it's fine.
Where, with all due respect, I do want to look at the regulations and see, because
Understood. I'm just telling you my first impression of it.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, I want to get my eyes on it and satisfy myself, because, you know, this is, even though we're getting the purple pipe for irrigation, you know, if the regulations arguably or require or allow domestic use, you know, I think we need to do that. And so that is still an open question to me, with all due respect, and, you know.
Of course, and it's something we can look into further. And the good news is that there's still time to do that. This is a review and refer item.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to put that issue on the table for the rest of the board. So appreciate the time.
That's a great catch, Larry. I just assumed that was the condition for this development. If each house has, or each building has, an individual water meter of reclaimed water, I think it's crazy if we don't require them to dual plumb.
We have to look at the code. There's, you know, what Molly was, we went through this on Marydale, 350 Marydale. So,
okay.
Yeah, the State Water Quality Board, there are some distinctions how they impose their requirements on internal use of recycled water.
Correct.
Right. But I think what we should do is, rather than depending on the regulations, is go talk to the developer and see if we can sway them into doing it. Because I
Chair
think
Russell,
it's,
I think the question is that whether the regulations would allow it,
Would permit it,
Um,
yeah.
oh,
right?
but how could the Embassy Suites have it?
Because that is a hotel use that is controlled by a single ownership. So there's some fine distinctions.
I
think
see.
Director Bragman called out earlier with Marydale was the fact that the regulations do allow condominiums to have purple pipe for toilet flushing, but not single family residential. So there's a gradation there. With respect to hotels, those are also allowed to have purple pipe for toilet flushing. Is my
But that
current-
doesn't make sense to me, because are you saying single families are allowed and
No,
condos
single
aren't?
families. What I'm saying is I believe that the regulations do not permit it for single family residential.
So.
Irvine
and
Ranch has it. No, slow down. Irvine Ranch has it. Okay. So they've had it for 40 years. Maybe they grandfathered in or something, but
These
as
are-
I understand it, they're flushing
Mhm.
toilets in Irvine Ranch.
Yeah, it's a good question.
So I tried to kind of dive into it. I really wasn't able to get to that level of granularity that we really need to look at this morning. But anyway, that is an issue that I think needs to be what has been, say, run to ground and see whether, we can add that as a condition of approval.
Yeah, let's try it. I agree completely. I think it's the best way to go.
We can
Yeah.
certainly take a closer look.
Yeah, I did believe Noel Studley, our Backland Reclamation Department Supervisor, did investigate this. I met with him several times regarding the project, but we can definitely get confirmation.
And there, Joseph, the way things are going with the State Water Board, I mean, I don't keep up with it, like you do, but they may have relooked at these regulations. I really don't know. So I think it's worth at least looking at again and.
Here's a note off of Irvine Ranch Water District's webpage. So how does Irvine Ranch Water District keep your home faucets flowing while also, it's not the whole thing, with recycled water through irrigation, agriculture, and toilet flushing? And that's a very large, bigger than us, water district. And they have dual plumbing in every single home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we'll take a look at
Let's
that.
take a look at it. Let's take a look at it because it's, this could be sort of a model. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, it always has been the model. I mean, they've been the example. The only person who fought with them was Bob Castle, who was arguing about who had more toilets flushing, us or Irvine Ranch. Kind of a pointless argument, but that's the one he got into. And that was because of the Civic Center and the Embassy Suites and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so who's going to follow up with Irvine Ranch? Or, I mean, Irvine Ranch will help us. They are really champions of this.
I think that we'll definitely we'll coordinate amongst staff and we'll take a look at that. We'll follow up with Irvine Ranch for sure.
Yeah, they're real good people at Irvine Ranch. So
I
if you need any
know
help, let me know.
one of the attorneys for
Oh, good,
Irvine Ranch. I
good.
can speak with her.
Good. Good. Just don't mention Donald Brenn's name. Okay, and the more board comment. What do you think, guys? Is this worth bringing to the board in addition to this, or should we just let it go for referral?
What do you mean? What's the?
Well, what I'm saying is we've been challenged by people saying we shouldn't allow new connections. And here's, I think, a perfect example of, the kind of new connections we're allowing. When the recycled water is available, we require it and they're using it. And at least it takes off 50%. On the other hand, it may raise more questions than it answers.
My preference would be that we get, put it over a month and see what Molly and staff can come up with.
That's great.
With
We
Irvine.
should probably take public comments before we go that direction.
Okay.
We will.
That's-
We will.
Yeah,
We're going to do that next.
That would be my preference.
Yeah.
So,
but we should hear public and then make a decision, you know?
I
Yes.
think there's only one public member on this committee unless there's more joined, but maybe there's more now.
Let's hear it.
Whatever.
But in
number
any
is, we
case,
wanna hear
yeah, sure.
Okay, well, there are two, but one has a
Two,
comment.
okay.
Mr. Roger
Okay.
Roberts? Mr. Roberts?
Yes, it's my understanding that recycled water is sourced from wastewater, and wastewater is declining as a result of conservation measures. So my question is, what happens if the water district is unable to provide the promised recycled water for this project?
We're smarter than that, Roger. We supplement with fresh water if we have to.
Okay, and so are there going to be conservation measures in that regard for this project?
Yeah, we understand. I don't have an answer for you on that one. That's got to go to the staff.
And, you
Sorry,
know,
I didn't quite understand the question. Can you restate the
The
question?
question is, if we have to supplement the reclaimed water with fresh water, potable water, do special regulations kick in with respect to conservation of that water because they're using potable water
Hmm,
instead of reclaimed water?
don't have the
Were we to
answer.
run out of reclaim?
I think we need Carrie for that one. I don't have the answer to that.
well,
I
Okay,
think it's
well-
probably typically not, but let us look into it because I think the theory is if you're on recycled water and due to an outage or other intermittent issue, we don't put you on the same protocols as if you're using potable, but we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, Roger's question is a little different than that, Ben. Roger's saying that you have a long-term situation where, you know, and Crystal alluded to it too, that she said that the Las Colinas supply is completely used up, completely allocated. So if we go in and somebody has to go on to long-term usage, you know, how do we have to, should we rethink how we handle that particular problem? That's what I heard you say, Roger.
Well,
They are
I just,
paying-
I just think that the agreement with the developer has to deal with that issue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So they are paying for an extension of recycled water as well, right?
right.
Yeah, so it
That's
would be
correct.
tricky to have them pay for. Anyway, let us, it's a good question. We'll take a
You
look.
know, that's one of the reasons I think that we're encouraging them to use drought resistant landscaping and so that it's not taken for granted. So, you know, we supplied fresh water when Las Colinas was down for months. So, I mean, that's, you know, there are
Well,
contingencies to handle it.
We do it routinely, Larry. When we ran our own plant, in the winter, it was too expensive to run the recycled water plant, and we just fed them fresh water. So that was a routine operation of MMWD, that for 6 months or 4 months of the year, they got fresh water instead of reclaimed water because the cost of producing it was too high. And the supply was adequate. So we've done that historically also.
Okay.
Any more public comment?
There are none.
Okay, cool. Well, with that, thank you all. And
Thank you.
So, well, wait a second though. So the decision would be to bring it back in a month with further analysis by staff as to the utilization of recycled water for toilet flushing and non-potable domestic use.
yes,
That's the kind of the,
that's where we're going. Yes.
okay,
You cool with that, Ben?
okay. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Great day.